In an old, dilapidated mansion shrouded in darkness, four of us gathered around a creaky wooden table, eager to experience the mysteries that awaited us on the other side of the Ouija board. Naively, we believed it would be mere entertainment, never imagining the depths of horror soon to be unleashed upon us. With trembling fingers, we placed our hands on the planchette, its surface cool against our skin. We asked if any spirits were present, and a wave of unnatural silence engulfed the room. The planchette quivered under our touch, then darted across the board, spelling out chilling words that would haunt us forever. "I am not a spirit you can control," it spelled, its response dripping with malevolence. "I am a demon, hungry for your souls." Instant terror consumed us, but before we could retreat, the room shook violently, sending shivers down our spines. The once solid walls writhed like living flesh, and the floor beneath us split open, revealing a gaping black abyss teeming with wriggling shadows. Desperate to sever our connection, we tried to remove our hands, but an unseen force bound us tighter. The atmosphere grew suffocating, dark tendrils snaking around us, squeezing our very breath. The demon's laughter echoed through the room, filling our minds with torment. Suddenly, the ground vanished beneath our feet and we plummeted into the abyss. The air grew thick with the stench of burning flesh as we descended into a nightmarish realm of fire and suffering. Screams echoed all around us, mingling with the torturous cries of lost souls. In this unholy crucible, we fought against the relentless onslaught of demons and their sadistic games. Their claws clawed at our flesh, and their taunting whispers filled our ears, promising eternal damnation. Fear pushed us to our limits, but courage flickered within our hearts. With the last ounce of strength, I grabbed the planchette and screamed ancient incantations to banish the demon back to its realm. The room shattered, and blinding light engulfed us as we ascended back to the mansion, our bodies scarred, but our spirits unyielding. Forever marked by the horrors we encountered, we vowed never to approach a Ouija board again. But the dark whispers of that night lingered in our minds, a constant reminder of the ancient evil we had unwittingly unleashed. On a moonless night, we gathered in an abandoned wooden shack, hoping to reach the other side with our Ouija board. The winds howled eerily outside, creating an unsettling atmosphere within the room. Little did we know, we were about to awaken an unspeakable evil that craved our souls. The planchette moved, barely touching the board's surface. Our curiosity mixed with apprehension as we asked, "Is anyone there?" The room grew colder, and dim lights flickered ominously. Suddenly, the planchette darted across the board, spelling out words with a malevolent force. "I am a tormented soul, trapped between realms," the board responded. "You have trespassed in my domain. Prepare for the horrors that shall befall you." A wave of terror washed over us, but we dared not abandon the session. The air turned thick with a putrid stench, and ghostly whispers filled our ears, telling tales of agony and despair. We begged to end the session, but the entity denied any such release. Time lost all meaning as the room transformed. Shadows danced along the walls, revealing grotesque figures lurking within. Hideous beings with gnarled claws and glowing eyes emerged from the darkness, surrounding us with wicked grins. They whispered menacingly, promising everlasting suffering. One by one, my friends became victims of the malevolent entities. Their bodies twisted violently, contorted beyond recognition. Their eyes turned black as ink, and blood oozed from every pore. Their souls were consumed by unspeakable darkness, leaving only hollow shells in their wake. Terror paralyzed my every limb, but the voice within me refused to surrender. In an act of desperation, I tore the board from beneath the planchette and snapped it in half. An intense explosion of energy erupted, shaking the shack to its very foundations. As the smoke cleared, I found myself alone, surrounded by the lifeless bodies of my friends. Bound by guilt and plagued by the haunting memories, I now carry the burden of knowing that our naive curiosity unleashed a nightmare from which there is no awakening. It was a stormy night in late October when my friends and I decided to try a Ouija board. With giggles and excitement, we gathered around the dimly lit room, its only source of light coming from a flickering candle placed at the center of the board. Little did we know, this seemingly harmless game would unleash a terrifying chain of events. As we placed our hands on the planchette, the room grew cold, and an eerie silence fell upon us. We asked the board if anyone was there. Suddenly the planchette moved, spellbinding us with its otherworldly force. Letters formed words, and before our eyes we read, "I am trapped. Help." At that moment, the candle flared up, casting spooky shadows on the walls. Panic struck, and we tried removing our hands, but the planchette clung to our fingertips. The room filled with an unearthly presence, and the mirror on the wall suddenly shattered, its broken shards reflecting our horrified faces. The entity began to speak through the board, its voice echoing through the room. "I was murdered here, and my spirit is trapped within these walls. Release me, or suffer a similar fate." Fear gripped our hearts as the room darkened further, and an icy wind whispered threats in our ears. Unable to move, we watched in horror as the malevolent spirit possessed one of our friends, contorting their body with unnatural movements. The possessed friend's eyes glowed a sinister red, and a horrifying growl emanated from their lips. The entity cackled menacingly, reveling in our terror. Hours passed by like a torturous eternity. We desperately tried to end the session, but the spirit refused to let go. Finally, with every ounce of strength within us, we forcefully removed our hands from the planchette, severing the connection. The room returned to its normal state, the shattered mirror reflecting not just our fearful expressions, but also the realization that dabbling with the Ouija board had plunged us into a nightmarish horror we would never forget.